And Darrell Denny, President of the State, Carl Zone, Maggie Grant, and Diane Masser. We're here for purposes of sentencing. Case number 676-363, the defendant was found guilty of count 1 murder under revised code 2903.02b. Found guilty of count 2 felonious assault under revised code section 2903.11a1. Found guilty of count 3, felonious assault, under revised code 2903.11a2. Those are felonies of the second degree. Count 4, involuntary manslaughter, under revised code 2903.04b3, or b4, 4b, excuse me, felony of the third degree. Count 5, failure to comply, under revised code 2921.33a, first degree misdemeanor. Was found guilty of count 6, aggravated vehicular homicide, under revised code 2903.06a, 2a, felony of third degree. And finally, count 7, failure to stop after an accident, under revised code 4549.02a13. In a prior proceeding, the defendant pled guilty in case number 678102 to trafficking in drugs, felony of the second degree. On behalf of the state.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before the state says its piece with regard to the sentencing of Mr. Bissell, Firefighter Johnny Tetrick's daughters would like to address the court.
Very good.
Now.
Say your name for the record, please.
My name is Leander Tetrick. Good morning, Your Honor. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today, to give you a small glimpse of how much our father meant to us and what a loss my sisters and I are experiencing and will continue to experience the rest of our lives. I'm the oldest of my dad's 3 daughters. My situation is a little more unique than that of my sisters in that my dad adopted me when I was little. He always told me that he fell in love with me first, even before my mom, and that he believed his entire reason for being put on this earth was to love my sisters and myself. My dad chose to love me and take care of me when the person that was supposed to would not. A lot has been said throughout the last 8 months about my dad and his life. I don't quite know if words will ever be able to fully articulate what a catastrophic loss my sisters, myself, my family, and my dad's fire brothers have and will continue to go through. Growing up as a fireman's child, you get used to sharing your parent with other people. You're taught selflessness at a young age, that there are people in need, and that is why your dad isn't home on your birthday, sporting events, or Christmas. You're prepared to say goodbye for the last time as he walks out of your bedroom after putting you to sleep at night because he might not come home the next day. You watch him cry and squeeze you and your sisters harder in bed because he pulled kids your age out of a fire where they did everything in their power to save them. You take calloused hands and 3 part-time jobs on top of being a fireman because he wanted a better life for you and your sisters. My dad served 27 years in the Cleveland Fire Department, and my sisters and I sacrificed 23, 18, and 20 of our own years with him to share. I thought I was prepared my whole life for this until it happened. I thought I was strong until I held my 18 and 20-year-old sisters as we decided what to do with our dad's body. I thought I had learned enough about life until I couldn't pick up the phone and call him. While my dad was a firefighter, first and foremost, he was our dad. Having sacrificed much of our childhood with him, I never for a minute thought we would have to sacrifice our future. My dad had a different love language that he spoke with all of us. Our language was spoken through work. When I was 9, my dad put me on a roof with him, which is why I learned to work hard for what you have and want in life. That anything worth having is earned, not given. That a bad day isn't a bad life, and that listening before you speak gets you out of a lot of trouble most of the time. He taught us that the only people who are victims are the ones who make themselves that in their mind. He taught us that we might not always be the prettiest person in the room, but that we could be the most loving, kind, and hardworking person. How do I fill those shoes? How do I step into that role for my sisters who are going to college? How do we walk down the aisle or have kids? How do we watch them graduate without their dad? How do we drive over that spot, which used to be one of our favorite places to drive, going home after seeing our dad for the first time in sometimes 48 hours? I pray that we remember the lessons that he taught us and that we end up half of the person or people that he was. I don't have the answers because he always did. I'm not sure how to end this, but to say that we're grieving and trying to understand how any good can come from this is the best I can do. I think my dad would tell me that something good will come from this tragedy, that justice will prevail, and that he forgives as he was forgiven. Thank you for your time.
Sounds like your father taught you some great things. You preached.
Thank you.
Good morning. I stand before you today to express the profound impact that the tragic loss of my beloved father has had on my life and the lives of all of those who loved him. The man sitting in this courtroom took away not only a life, but the cornerstone of my existence, the most important person in my life. The void left by his absence is insurmountable and has caused immense pain and suffering every single day since that fateful event. My father was my guiding light, my mentor, and my rock. He provided unwavering love, support, and wisdom, shaping me into the person that I am today. His presence and influence were the pillars of strength that carried me through life's challenges. I cherished every moment we spent together, knowing that his unconditional love and unfailing support were irreplaceable. Words fall short when attempting to express the impact that my dad had, not only on my life, but the lives of countless others. He sculpted every value that I hold dear and shaped my faith in ways that words cannot fully capture. He was and is the embodiment of everything that I aspire to be. His unwavering presence in my life provided me with unfailing support, comfort, and guidance. He believed in me even when I doubted myself, and his belief fueled my determination to overcome the challenges that life left at my doorstep. His absence has left an indescribable void that is felt every single day. The world feels a little less vibrant without his infectious laughter and his comforting embrace. The wisdom he imparted continues to resonate with me, reminding to stay true to my principles and to be compassionate towards others. Though he may not physically be here, his spirit lives on in every decision I make and every step that I take. I carry his legacy with me, cherishing the lessons he taught me and striving to make him proud. My dad will forever be the guiding light in my life, and I am grateful for the 20 years that I got to spend with him, though that time was cut much too short. The loss of my father has shattered my dreams drastically and altered the trajectory of my life. I find myself constantly haunted by the thoughts of all the significant milestones and experiences we will never share. He will never have the opportunity to witness my college graduation, walk me down the aisle on my wedding day, or hold his future grandchildren in his arms. These are moments that I had always envisioned sharing with him, and the pain of his absence is a constant reminder of what has been stolen from my sisters and I. The emotional toll of losing my father in such a senseless act of violence is immeasurable. It's left a void that cannot be filled, causing a profound and lasting impact on my mental and emotional well-being. Grief has become a constant companion, and the pain lingers, affecting every aspect of my life. I struggle to find meaning and a purpose in a world that seems unjust and cruel, though I know my father would instruct me carefully to go over the words written in red to refocus my life, no matter how great the loss or how unbearable the pain. Romans 8:18 says, "I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing to the glory that will be revealed in us." The weight of this tragedy extends far beyond my personal loss. It has forever altered my dad's brothers in the Cleveland Fire Department and the dynamic of our family, leaving an emptiness that cannot be filled. The men before you today, my siblings, and all those who love my father have been deeply wounded by this heinous act. We struggle to find solace and rebuild our lives, forever marked by this devastating event. Your Honor, I implore you to consider the gravity of this crime and the profound impact it's had on my life and the lives of those left behind. I ask for justice to be served, not only for the sake of my father, but for the sake of countless individuals who have suffered at the hands of the defendant's actions. May the court render a fair and just judgment that reflects immeasurable loss we have endured. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share my personal experience as a result of this and to express the magnitude of pain and grief that we continue to endure. I trust that the court will consider these words as it deliberates. Thank you. Good morning. Again, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity for allowing us to speak. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to speak today. I didn't know if I could capture all of the feelings and experiences that we've had in these past few months. And half the time I don't think I even understand what's going on inside myself. And then I thought of my father and how he always encouraged me to not only push myself further than I thought I could go, but to also share the gospel to as many people as I can. This opportunity, as much as I wish I didn't have it, allows me to share the foundation of who my father was. He was a servant of God and mankind in every way imaginable. He cared for people like no one else, and he was devoted to God in a way I can only hope to achieve. On my father's fire helmet, he painted out a Bible verse, John 15:13, which states, "Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends." And I vividly remember the day he finished working on it and showed it to me. And I told him it was beautiful and I loved the meaning behind it, but to promise me that if there was ever a situation to arose, that if he had to pick between himself and someone else, to please choose himself. He pulled me close and told me that he couldn't promise me that, and that he loved the people he worked with and the people that he helped, and that if any one of them were ever in danger, he would happily take their place. His answer worried me at the time, but I find peace knowing that he would not have traded places with anyone given the chance. This does not mean that the pain that I feel is dulled in any way. I would give absolutely anything to be held in my father's arms again. And to hear him say that everything's going to be okay. He was a man of great faith, an incredible firefighter, and a friend to everyone. But to me, he was just my dad. The man who hugged me when I cried. The man who never stopped picking my lunches for school or putting Band-Aids on me despite my age. The man who always held my hand. The man who always had comforting hugs and words. The one who was always there when I needed him, no matter how busy he was. And the man who loved the most unconditional love that a human being was capable of. I could tell you story after story about how truly wonderful and incredible he was. He was funny, kind, hardworking, humble, and so much more. He was known for his smile, his laugh, his mischievousness, his faith, and his reliability. You could call on him at any time and he would be there to help. I tell you this to show you that what I'm about to say is not an easy thing for me, and it does not come naturally. It was taught to me by an amazing man, and I would like to preface this with the reassurance that I still want justice for the death of my father. All actions have consequences, and I believe that what Mr. Bissell has done deserves severe consequences. What he has done is murder. A life was taken, and many others were drastically altered. I believe the consequence for this should be the loss to live the rest of his life as a free citizen. The recklessness of his actions and utter disregard for the safety of my father and all other workers that night is absolutely gut-wrenching to think about. And I hope justice will be served accordingly. Despite this, Mr. Bissell, I wish to tell you that I do not hate you. I think that would be a lot easier, and I hate what you've done and all of the agony and grief it has caused me and the people that I love. I hate that I will have all of those images burned into my brain from both that night and this trial, and that I will never get to make new memories with him. But what I hate the most is that I know that there are so many people that my father could have touched in their lives that he will not get the opportunity to.
So instead, I pray that this touches your life. Again, I do not hate you. In fact, I forgive you for what you've done. I just hope that whatever your life looks like now, it'll be used for the good of others and yourself. I pray that God changes you in the way that only He is capable of. I know that the loss of my father has already helped so many people see the gospel, but I hope that this helps you too. I hope that I see you one day in heaven as a brother in Christ. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Your Honor. On behalf of the state of Ohio, there's nothing that we could say on behalf of Johnny Tetrick that his daughters didn't already say, and probably far more eloquently than I ever could have. But one thing that the state wants to emphasize to this court kind of echoes what Eden just said, and that we are not here to judge Leander Bissell as a human being, but to judge his actions on November the 19th of 2022. And Your Honor saw those videos, and the calculated risk that was taken was, as Reagan said, were senseless. And if there's rarely a silver lining in anything, but the fact that Johnny Tetrick was a firefighter who laid down his life on that particular night can raise awareness. The high-profile nature of the fact that it was a Cleveland firefighter who was killed because of the calculated risks that someone took should serve as a message to each and every motorist on the freeways, on the roads, to take their time and to be careful. Because that could have been somebody with a disabled vehicle. It could have been somebody who was getting out after a collision, who was just a private citizen. And the state's going to take each and every one of those cases just as seriously as it took this one. The state filed its sentencing memorandum yesterday, Your Honor, and the state's position on sentencing is as follows. With regard to the homicide case, Your Honor, it's the state's position that counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 merge for the purposes of sentencing as their allied offenses of similar import. The state would elect a sentence on count 1, murder B, which does carry a mandatory sentence of 15 years to life. Count 5 was a misdemeanor that must by law run concurrent. And the state's position on count 7 is that the failure to stop after an accident does not merge. And as the state laid out in its sentencing memorandum, the state believes a consecutive sentence in that particular count is necessary. There were 2 separate calculated risks that were taken that night. One was to drive 50 miles an hour, almost 50 miles an hour, through 2 closed lanes. The second was not to stop after a very obvious collision. And that should be punished separately. One for the action of being so cold and callous that you continued moving on, that Mr. Bissell continued moving on. But the resources and the time it took not only the Cleveland Police Department's Vice Unit, its Special Investigations Unit, and 2 Cleveland Police Districts, the man hours it took over that 4-hour stretch to find this white Chevy Malibu, while other calls could have been made in the 3rd District and the 5th District, those officers could have been attending to something else. And the fact that the defendant did not take responsibility for a collision that particular night should be sentenced separately. With regard to the drug trafficking case, Your Honor, the state takes no position as to whether, Your Honor, is to sentence concurrent or consecutively. I would like to note, though, that by law it is a mandatory sentence of 2 to 8 years, and it does carry a mandatory fine of 1/2 of the total possible fine, up to 1/2 of the total possible fine of $15,000. The state would say, however, Your Honor, that the defendant had no idea what kind of drugs he was selling. And that's the most dangerous kind of peddler that we have in the year 2023. We have an epidemic of fentanyl, carfentanil, and other opioids that are being peddled as cocaine, as heroin, as ecstasy. And individuals who are selling these drugs at the street level, as Mr. Bissell is, never know what they're getting. And he acknowledges in those drug dealing text messages that he doesn't know what he has, but he's willing to sell them. And I want Your Honor to just take that into consideration when rendering your sentence. Thank you.
Anything further on behalf of the state?
No, Your Honor.
On behalf of the defense?
First and foremost, to the Tetrick family, I personally want to offer my condolences to you for this matter and having to sit through this trial. It was never our goal to have to put you through that, okay? I hope you understand that. From the bottom of my heart. When the brothers of the firefighters, once again, I offer my deepest sense of condolences to you and having you sit through this trial and testify to what you had to endure that evening for your brother. I'm sorry for that as well. Okay? Now, Your Honor, I want to be brief on behalf of Mr. Bissell. I just want to talk a little bit about him as he has to, of course, take responsibility for his actions that night. We'd like the court to know that Mr. Bissell is age 41 years old. He's a father of 4, 3 daughters, 1 son. The son is a newborn, Your Honor, not even 2 months old. Mr. Bissell, by all accounts, is a dedicated family man himself. He's supportive of all his children, his family, his friends. Everyone will say he's a good guy, will do anything for you at any time. Mr. Bissell has attended Tri-C, trying to better himself. He started his own clothing line. Some of that clothing was seized in this particular case. Once again, all in efforts to support himself, his family, and his friends. Talking to his employer, he was always described as a very hard worker, doing whatever is required of him and needed of him at his job. Now, Your Honor, we understand the court has a mandatory sentence to impose here. We would like the court to consider that mandatory minimum sentence, allow the parole board to do what they're hired to do, and just take in consideration all these things here today. I'd like to share the rest of my time with Mr. Bissell.
Anything further on behalf of the defense?
Your Honor, Mr. Bissell would like to address the court as well.
Very good.
Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning to everyone inside the courtroom. First and foremost, I, Leander Bissell, and my family send the sincerest condolence to Mr. Tetrick, his daughters, their mother, family, friends, co-worker, Ohio residents, also past, present, future firefighters nationwide. I deeply apologize for my actions. I'll never knowingly bring harm or hurt to anyone. I'm not a violent person. I'm not a murderer. I never seen violence as an acceptable way to resolve any difference. Overall, I apologize to the Tetrick family and others for the shock, anger, grief, and unconsolable moments they receive while their souls yearn with hatred, bitterness, unforgiveness towards me. I wish I could soothe the undeserving pain y'all going through. Numerous nights I cried for the Tetrick family. My actions is the reason Mr. Tetrick no longer here. For his family and community, I especially want to say sorry to his daughters. To his daughters. A child-parent relationship is the most important and beautifulest feeling in the world. Loving and needing a father. A hero dad, a family hero, a community hero is gone. Mr. Tetrick occupation can never be replaced or fulfilled, nor his dad duties to love, protect, and provide, or his firefighter duties to help and serve our communities. My actions make my soul shake. This is not one of my proudest moments. I have a great respect for firefighters for the unselfish, heroic abilities they have risking their lives to save a total stranger. I'll forever have a delicate heart, delicate, remorseful heart. I've endured agony and pain also, and have to live with what I cause daily and for a lifetime. I'll need help emotionally and mentally also. Living with grief of what I've done and what I never do. A heavy burden I wear like clothing. My actions affected more than one person. It affects 2 families. My family doesn't condone the tragic death of Mr. Tetrick. They know and expect me to take accountability and deserve consequences for my actions besides murder. I'm no murderer. Since I received my indictment, I always was willing to to plead to my official charges. I didn't only see or hit Mr. Tetrick crossing the street, bending over. I would have stopped. And dealt with the consequences I'm dealing with today. I didn't go into hiding. I didn't have my car. Again, I'm sorry and I apologize. I, Leander Bissell, send my sincerest condolences to Mr. Tetrick, his daughters, their mother, family, friends, co-workers, Ohio residents, also past, present, future firefighters nationwide. I'm sorry, Mr. Tetrick. I know your spirit is in this courtroom to seek justice, and my behavior has consequences. I want to apologize to courts all over the world. The best apology I can give is change behavior. To behave in a way that please me, public, family, and communities. I live the value-based life, positive goal-setting life. I've shown the ability to modify my behavior, avoid being locked up out of society, not being a repeated jail goer. With working multiple jobs, attending college, and creating a clothing line, a talented, marketable skill to sustain future income for family, friends, and my community. I'm sad, hurt, disappointed in myself. Yet, I still have a kind heart with no consumed anger. So that doesn't stop me for being happy towards the Tetrick family, and especially his daughters. Y'all deserve justice. And it's your responsibility to keep his legacy alive for y'all. Because I want the same for my 3 daughters to do for me. Lastly, I want to apologize to my family and friends. My family, kids, lady, friends, and community. For the shock, emotional distress, embarrassment, unwanted attention y'all received throughout this tragic charge circumstance. I also want to thank y'all for being there emotionally and spiritually. Me in prison is an experience we not familiar with. Just know I stay positive. I'll try staying positive in a negative environment.
Asterisk, and that's where this case comes to an emotional close. The court imposed a 15 years to life sentence for murder, plus an additional consecutive 1-year sentence for legal deceit, while the separate drug case was ordered to run concurrently. But beyond the legal outcome, this hearing became something much bigger. It was about freedom, accountability, forgiveness, and justice. The victim's family shared unimaginable loss. The defendant expressed remorse, and the judge delivered a sentence intended to reflect both the seriousness of the crime and the law. What are your thoughts?
Into a message. Remember, broken crayons still color. Only thing I ask from my loved ones, and friends, is stay original. Be yourself. Everybody else is taken. Stay focused. Stay focused. When you lose that, you make big mistakes. I love and miss y'all. I want to thank my 2 attorneys, and most important, my 2 social workers for coming to visit and check on me throughout these 8.5 months when I didn't have the privilege to see or get family support physically. That made y'all my family. I super appreciate those visits and conversations, making me smile when I was in dark, depressed space, caring more for me than I did for myself. I love y'all for that. Now, family, friends, behave yourself. Show respect in proper manner and walking outside this courtroom. I need y'all to use that energy in a positive way for something greater. It's time to be mind rich. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any further on behalf of the defense?
Your Honor, the only other thing is that we'd ask this court to find Mr. Bissell indigent and apprise him of his appellate rights, and we also ask the court to consider appointing Timothy Sweeney as appellate counsel. Thank you.
Okay. To his daughters, obviously, one can measure the character of a man will house the children from that. So your father obviously was a great role model for you, and obviously the support of his firefighters here today. to them as well. So anything I say will obviously not ease the pain. Just hope you can move forward in life. Remember the good things. Remember the special times you had. Justice is served here today. Justice was rendered through my verdict of murder. And for that, we're going to impose the following sentences. Counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 are allied offenses, similar import, and murder for purposes of sentence. The state elects to proceed to sentencing on count 1 murder. That carries a sentence of 15 to life. Count 5, failure to comply, is a first-degree misdemeanor, and by law, that penalty is 6 months in county jail and must run concurrent to the felony sentence. With respect to failure to stop after an accident, the court is going to sentence the defendant to a 1-year prison term, which will run consecutive to the 15 to life. In order to run the sentence consecutive, the court has to make the following findings: that the overriding factors supporting sentencing in Ohio is to protect the public and punish the offender and deter the offender and others from committing future crimes. The court believes that given the seriousness of this offense, consecutive sentences are warranted. With respect to the case number 676-363, trafficking in drugs, the court will impose a 3-year prison term. That will run concurrent. 3-year term is a minimum 3 years up to a maximum of 4.5 under Reagan Tokes. You'd be presumed to be released on that sentence, even though it's going to run to concurrent to the life sentence. You'd be presumed to be released on that charge after 3 years. That assumption could be rebutted if the offender commits offenses while confined. He's considered a continued threat to society. He's been placed in restrictive housing, and the offender security classification is a 3. Be that as it may, it's very redundant here because he's serving a life sentence. On the drug case, I will waive the mandatory fine since the defendant is indigent. You will have credit for time served. On the failure to stop after the accident in the drug case, you will have post-release control, even though if you get out, when you get out of prison, you'll be subject to the parole board. So you will have on the felony free up to a mandatory, or rather discretionary 3 years post-release control. Actually, it's 2 years post-release control, excuse me. And on the drug case, it's a minimum mandatory of 1 to 3 years post-release control. Post-release control can involve restrictions on your activities. If you were to violate those, you can be returned to prison for up to 1/2 of your sentence. I will appoint appellate counsel. I'm not sure they've asked for Tim Sweeney, but it's the court's discretion who will appoint. You have the right to counsel at state's expense, right to a transcript at state's expense, a right to a notice of appeal at state's expense. On the failure to stop after the accident, I'm going to give you a lifetime driver's license suspension. Anything further, counsel, that I may have overlooked?
No, Your Honor, I just want to clarify that drug case is case number 678102.
Very good, thank you. Anything further?
Nothing, Judge, thank you.
Did it. Lifetime. Sheriff to transport credit for any time served.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge.